Biological Safety Cabinet Selection and Installation. There are different types of biological cabinets which have been developed to meet varying research and clinical needs. When buying a BSC, you should first understand the difference in each type of cabinet based on your organization's operational needs, and second, prepare a proper location and space for installation. You should ensure that a biosafety officer or qualified safety personnel have been consulted before the selection of BSC is made in order to perform a risk assessment. Also, your facility's engineer or technician should be consulted to help identify the proper location, space, and required ventilation system concerns. When deciding which class and type of cabinet is appropriate to select, you should ask the following 5 questions. Question 1. What needs to be protected? If all that is needed is product protection, the user or purchaser should ask, is it for the product, personnel, or environmental use for things such as preparing culture media? Then a clean bench, which is not a BSC, may be the unit of choice. If there is a need to protect personnel and the environment, the Class 1 enclosure offers a simple and economical solution. The limitation of the Class 1 cabinet is that it does not provide product protection. To achieve personnel, environmental, and product protection, the most efficient cabinet to use is the Class 2 BSC. The next question to ask before selection is, what type of work will be used in the cabinet? One of the most difficult tasks in selecting the BSC is trying to foresee all the different types of work that will be taking place in it. It is critical to decide what things need protection both now and in the future. The selection type of your BSC should be based on the risk assessment, which outlines the probability and severity of the hazards you will be working with. When considering the type of cabinet to use, please consult references such as the WHO Biosafety Guidelines, as well as the most current edition of the CDC BMBL. Purchasing a BSC Class 1 or Class 2 Type A1 should be considered if there is a biological risk and depending on whether there is a requirement for product protection. Purchasing a Class 2 Type A2 or Class 2 Type B cabinet should be considered if there are both biological and chemical risk. The third question to ask yourself is, what types and quantities of chemical vapors will be generated in the BSC? As important as the preceding question, the user must also foresee the type and quantities of chemical vapors that will be generated in the cabinet because vapors can freely pass through a HEPA filter. Both Class 1 and Class 2 BSCs must have exhaust systems that vent out of the laboratory when used with vapor-causing chemicals. If work is being done with biological agents treated with minute quantities of toxic chemicals, the Class 2 Type A2 should be selected, and the BSC must be properly vented outside through a canopy unit. If work occurs on biological agents treated with toxic chemicals required as an adjunct to microbiological studies, the Class 2 Type B BSC should be selected and must be hard duct to an external exhaust system. Question 4 asks, where will the BSC be located? For BSCs that need to be connected to an exhaust system such as the Class 2 Type A or B, the location of the cabinet becomes dependent on the location of the exhaust system. If the BSC is not connected to the facility exhaust system, the feasibility of placing the new exhaust duct and related engineering design constraints should be considered. If the BSC is going to recirculate its HEPA-filtered air back into the laboratory, the user has some freedom regarding the installation of the unit provided it is out of major traffic areas and there are no other air handling devices in the area. The cabinet should be located away from high traffic areas such as near doors, fans, ventilation registers, fume hoods, and any other air handling device that could alter airflow patterns. There are clearance requirements, such as the cabinet needs a clearance of 30 to 36 centimeters above the cabinet. There must be clearance of at least 30 centimeters behind the unit. A clearance of at least 15 centimeters should be maintained on both sides of the cabinet, and if there are two cabinets located next to each other, a clearance of at least 30 centimeters should be provided. The final question to ask, question 5, is the building exhaust system suitable for the BSC installation? If the BSC requires connecting to a hard duct, you must ensure that your facility exhaust system is compatible with the BSC interlock system in the event that there is a low exhaust flow or an exhaust system failure. This is accomplished by installing an exhaust monitor in the duct above the BSC and electronically interlocking the BSC fan via a relay. By doing so, it will ensure that if there is not sufficient exhaust, the BSC fan will shut down and not push any contaminated materials out through the work access opening. A properly designed and installed exhaust canopy will allow a Type A1 or A2 cabinet to maintain acceptable inflow velocity at the front access opening, even when the flow through the exhaust canopy is completely stopped. For these reasons, the existing facility exhaust is a key factor that needs to be considered before purchasing the BSC Class II Type B cabinet. In addition to the 5 questions, the purchaser should consider the type of biological agents you are going to work with in the cabinet and the requirements of the biosafety level listed in the WHO Biosafety Guidelines. Exhaust system. If the BSC is to be connected to an existing facility exhaust system, first consult with the facility engineer or technician to examine the location to ensure that it is compatible with the cabinet's exhaust outlet and that the volumetric air supply to the room is enough to replace the air removal from the exhaust system of the cabinet. After you have made a decision on what type of BSC you are going to purchase and the location, electrical requirements need to be considered. Electrical requirements. The electrical outlet that the BSC plugs into should have a dedicated circuit breaker. This will prevent the cabinet from an accidental shutdown. Additionally, an automatically activated emergency power source must be provided. Monitoring and control systems for the air supply and exhaust should also be on an uninterrupted power supply, UPS. The proper selection of your BSC will help the user work safely and save costs for energy and maintenance, as well as to expand the life cycle of the cabinet.